Krista Bozaki, and I began as Midtown Indy's Engagement and Events Coordinator back in August. I handle the majority of our online communications, including my Midtown news, as well as the emails that you may or may not have been pestered by to inform you of this meeting. I'll also be working closely with those of you interested in planning and executing the 2023 Tarkington Park events we'll talk about later on. We have a lot of material to cover for an hour, but I just wanted to do some quick introductions. So if you could give your name, your affiliation to the park, and your favorite memory of the park. Start with David.
Yeah, hi, I'm David O'Rourke. I'm with the Parks Alliance of Indianapolis, and then also part of the Tarkington Park Partnership to help with you guys and events and make sure the park is more lively and safe and all those good things. My favorite memory of the park was probably the first Tarkington Park Fest, just because of all the activity. I remember the fountain lights were on. It was kind of, everything was in full swing, and it was cool to see it like that.
Brittany.
I'll jump in. I'm Brittany Davis. I'm the regional manager of Eagle Creek Park, and today I'm here as a representative of our Indy Parks Advisory Council Steering Committee, myself and also Cheryl Richardson. So we have a presentation for you later on how to start up a advisory council for Tarkington. My favorite memory of Tarkington has to do with tennis. So I play on a women's league age 40 and up at Tarkington every Thursday throughout the summer.
All right. So is it me? Well, hello, everyone. My name is Cheryl Richardson. I'm the Senior Manager of Community Relations for Indy Parks, and I sat on the Advisory Council Steering Committee with Brittany and Kim Campbell. And I have so many memories of Tarkington Park because I grew up right there at 40th in Pennsylvania. So that was my, my home park. But it is where I learned to play tennis, and where I learned how to play basketball. At the time, the ball courts were on the hill, and we spent a lot of time in the late 60s, early 70s chasing the ball out in the middle of Meridian Street. So, so I'm happy that it's no longer there. And it was the gathering place for all of the high school students, the Broad Ripple High School and the Shortridge High School kids would meet there at the park. Oh, hi, Sabai.
Sabai said, "Tease me."
Oh,
Oops. I'm going back up, but I'm listening.
Michelle, you're unmuted. Do you want to go next?
Sure. I'm Michelle Roth. I am currently serving as Vice President of the Meridian Street Foundation Board. And my favorite memories of the park are walking and training my first dog.
I love it. Lori?
Lori Hazel, I'm with the Parks Alliance, and we're part of the partnership at Tarkington Park with MLK Center and Midtown Indy and Indy Parks. David probably, he shared my favorite memory also, which was the first Park Fest. It was just a great event and all the excitement around it. So hoping that it comes back, and we're a big part of that. Nice to see all of you.
Definitely hoping to bring that back this year. So we'll talk about that in a bit. Amy?
Hey, I'm Amy Bosworth. I'm from Friends of 38th. And I also just, that first Park Fest was a lot of fun. We had a great time, and it was wonderful to see so many people in the neighborhood having a good time.
And Sabe, if you want to give your favorite your connection to Tarkington Park and your favorite memory of the park.
I grew up in Butler, Tarkington, and my favorite memory of the park was getting to ride my bike over to the park and to watch the boys play basketball when I was a teenager. But my favorite memory of the park is that it's always been a part of our family, so to speak. And Tarkington Park Fest was great. It was wonderful. But and I hope we get back to that this summer. But Tarkington Park is a part of my life.
That's not able to unmute. Jennifer, are you able to unmute?
Yes. Hi, everybody. I'm Jennifer Pierce. I am a board member for Midtown Indy. Thank you for having me. I moved to Indianapolis after college, so I don't have memories of it as a child, unfortunately, but I love hearing about yours. I've taken my kids there to play, so I guess those are my favorite memories of the park.
All right, and last but not least, Danita.
Thank you. Hi, Danita Hoskin, community builder for Midtown Indy. And my favorite memories of the park are just as a child, being able to just run and play and enjoy all the festivities that a park allows. And most recently, as an adult, as it relates to Park Fest, my favorite memory was being in the park with those other endless sparklers. It was just a wonderful evening filled with sparkle and light and delight. So looking forward to what we have planned for Tarkington Park. Thank you.
Awesome. And Kelly, I know you just joined us, but we have just been doing introductions, name, your organization, and your favorite memory of Tarkington Park.
Hi, I'm Kelly Lavengood. I have Good Living Indy, which is a real estate brokerage, and then the Blue Roof Building at 38th and Central, and live in Butler, Tarkington, former Butler Tarkington Neighborhood Association member. So, oh gosh, favorite memory is probably taking my son to Indy Steelers practice a couple of years ago when we did a sponsorship with them, and Coach Nell insisted that we come out and get a picture with the team, and that just made me very sad. So yeah, nice to see everybody. Sorry to be late.
You're fine. I'm sure we'll have a few more trickle in as we go along, but thank you. Thanks everyone. So I've only been with Midtown Indy for 6 months, but I know kind of discussions on forming a Friends of Tarkington Park group have been a long time coming. We've heard for years that residents, business owners, organizational leaders kind of want more collaboration and oversight on what happens in the park, from more frequent programming to public safety. Given all of the events that transpired over the past year, and particularly the recent announcement from Indy Parks and the Lilly Endowment regarding the $3 million grant for park updates, and as Kelly mentioned, Coach Nell's tragic passing, Midtown sat down with the Parks Alliance and the Parks and Recreation team to determine that really now is the time to get that process started. The emails regarding this initial meeting have gone to 70 individuals with a connection to Tarkington Park. Each of you have raised your hand to help with past programming or served as a partner on Juneteenth, or even if you just attended Park Fest or have indicated interest in getting more deeply involved somewhere along the way. So we've put the call to you all who've already been involved just to get a better understanding of kind of who's interested in starting this group and helping to recruit new members and plan programming. The meeting is being recorded and will be shared with the group and online after, so other interested parties who were not able to make it onto Zoom today can also take in the information and get involved. With that said, Brittany and Cheryl are here to speak about the different structures of friends groups and the process for having a group recognized by the department. So I'll turn it over to them.
Great. Thank you for having us today. So Cheryl and I serve on this committee along with Kim Campbell, who is our Deputy Director of Indy Parks. She's on a well-deserved vacation right now. So Cheryl and I offered to come meet with you guys today. So we have a PowerPoint presentation that goes over the basic guidelines for creating a group. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. If you give me that privilege, thank you. Great. There we go. Okay. So we help throughout the department to create friends groups. So in the past few years, Cheryl, how many groups have we brought on? There's been a really large influx recently. Well, Cheryl's looking that up. So when a group comes to us and they are interested in starting a group, we do have a couple options that we present to people. So outside of creating your own advisory council or friends group, we also do partnerships through the My City, My Park, which gives options of a park adoption, or we can do days of service if a corporate group or nonprofit wants to come to us to do service days. We have a team member named Amy Anderson that can help set that up. We also do specific partnerships. So if there's just one specific project you're interested, we can look into that. We also team up with the Land Stewardship Department of Indy Parks and DPW. So for Tarkington, I'm not sure we would do this. Fortunately, you don't have a lot of exotic invasive plants around, but with Land Stewardship, we can also coordinate different projects like litter cleanup and things like that. And then finally, advisory council, and that's what we're here to talk to you about today. Cheryl, do you want to step in on this one?
Okay, so we have a couple of things that we do in relation to this. There is a total park adoption, which I don't really see with this particular group, where we have these smaller parks and we have different business entities that come forth and say, we would like to adopt a park, and they take on the maintenance and everything in relation to that particular park. And then, as she had mentioned earlier, we have days of service, which we have a community partnership manager, Amy Anderson, who will work with your team to pull in corporate sponsors if necessary, and to help do beautification projects in that particular park, or set aside a beautification day specifically for your park. She is the one who also works with corporate sponsors on that. And then we have different partnerships. You may not be a group, you don't necessarily have to have a friends group to form a partnership with us to do different work within your park. We actually have a partnership committee, and if you have something that you would want to do, you would reach out to that particular park manager, discuss that partnership, and we would all come to the table to see if it was viable and a win-win for both sides, and work through that particular process. So,
thank you, Cheryl. So when we're looking at starting up a group, we have 3 different levels of like hierarchy within our friends groups. And so we will use different vocabulary for them. So we have friends groups, we have foundations, we have advisory councils, we have advisory committees. So the name doesn't necessarily matter, but these are the 3 tiers that we offer to you. So first would be advisory committee. And so that's a smaller group. So maybe a grassroots group that doesn't have any money right now, or doesn't have a huge grant coming their way. And then the next step is advisory council. So with this, you do register with the state of Indiana as a nonprofit. You don't have to register with the federal government as a 501c3. And then we have friends groups, which is the largest one. And so the name doesn't necessarily matter. So for this, my Eagle Creek Park Foundation is a friends group, Holiday Park Foundation, and then Friends of Garfield Park. So really quick, and we'll go into a lot of information right here. So here's the advisory committee, which is more like the grassroots. So for this, we work with our friends at the Parks Alliance to be your fiscal sponsor with this. So you don't necessarily have to go find a bank to hold your funds. You can work with Lori and her team and figure out if this is a good match for you right there. So for this one, we're not doing an MOU. Instead, we're doing a 2-year agreement, which is not a very lengthy process. So with those, it goes pretty quickly. Financial reporting, you would do that with the Parks Alliance. We would still ask you annually for a report, an audit of what holdings you guys have. Just because we're interested, we will also ask you to present annually at the Indy Parks Board meeting, so you can show our board members all the great things that you're doing. And Cheryl, if they want to look up the Parks Board meetings, where should they go?
They are on the IndyGov website under the city county information.
And this year we've had quite a few, or this
Mhm.
past year, quite a few presentations. So if you're curious how those go, you can look and see all the different friends groups within Indy Parks and what they presented on.
And you can also just give me a call and I can get that for you too.
Fantastic. And so for this level advisory committee, we don't require you to hold the $1 million certificate of liability insurance. For this, it would be if you wanted to do a fundraising 5K, you would go ahead and get insurance just for that event instead of holding a policy at all times. And for grant seeking, you would work with the Parks Alliance on that. So that's the advisory committee. And then the next level is advisory council. Oh, let me see, go back. There we go. The next level is advisory council. And so for this one, we are saying, go to a financial institution of your choice. If you're able to work with the Parks Alliance for this, you're welcome to work that out with them and see if they want to be your fiscal sponsor right there. But advisory council, we would put groups that are currently having up to $25,000. And there are quite a few gray areas. So once we actually learn more about your group and what your immediate goals are, we're able to help you figure out which tier of group you want to start in. So for this one, you are a nonprofit status. For this, we do an MOU. So we work with our Indy Parks legal team to get an MOU that is signed by your president or executive director, and also by the Indy Parks director, Phyllis Boyd. For the MOUs, they're usually 3 to 5 years, but sometimes we'll write in with the opportunity for renewal 3 times or things like that. So for this one, we would also ask for your annual report. Insurance on this is still special events only.
Mm-hmm.
And for this grant seeking, you can seek your own grants because you will be a 501c3. So you won't have to go through the Alliance for that. But still, when you seek a grant, we need you to go through Indy Parks Department for permission ahead of time. And then finally, this is our highest level. So this is assets valued over $25,000. So even right now, if you're thinking, you want to be involved, the neat thing about this Lilly grant, well, lots of neat things, it's amazing. But so Eagle Creek Park Foundation and Garfield and Holiday were included in this Lilly endowment grant because they could hold their own money as 501c3 nonprofits. So if you do become this level, there's a chance that maybe if we get that offer again, you could also be included in that. So pretty similar, 5 years. Right now we have quite a few MOUs that are starting to expire. So we're going to meet with the park managers ahead of time and see what their thoughts are, and then meet with the groups and work on renewing those MOUs. So for this one, we do require the $1 million certificate of liability insurance, and I'm not sure exactly how much that costs, but it's not $1 million, so it's easy to get for sure. And then Cheryl, you want to take us through this?
All right, so in order to get you moving, the first thing that we usually do is the park manager meets with all of the interested parties. We ask that they host a call out meeting. And the reason we do this is we want to be sure that all voices in the area are heard. So we ask that you reach out to the church, to the schools, to all the neighborhood groups surrounding that park, and even businesses. See who's interested to come to the table to help you put this plan together. That group will select their group members and their officers. Once those people are selected, they would draft the mission statement and establish the bylaws. And then decide if they're going to register as a non-for-profit, but they would probably also have to register as a city vendor in order to do business with us. And then check back with the park manager, because that's going to be the person who's going to hold your hand and walk you through this. And then there would be requirement to complete a background check for all of your members. And then the manager would put all these documents together and submit them to the steering committee. And we would sit at our meeting and go through everything to see if anything, if we needed any revisions. We would get leadership involved and get the city lawyers involved, and they would look through the contracts to see if there were any revisions. Of course, send them back to you, go through that process, get the MOU or the agreement signed, and you can then set up your bank accounts and begin your fundraising or figuring out what your goals are and start the process.
Very good.
And as always, we'll be there to help.
So yeah, Cheryl already went over this. Thank you. And some more ideas. It sounds like you guys are on it. I heard that you maybe had 80 stakeholders already identified, which is very impressive. A lot of times when we meet with groups just forming, you know, it's maybe like 5 different stakeholders are identified, and we usually have to encourage them to think sort of outside the park right there. Who else would be interested? But I think you guys have this down, definitely. And we can provide you with this information as well after the talk. So you already have a lot of group members identified. So just to go over really quick what Indy Parks staff, what our role is in this. So we will put you in touch with your park manager if you don't already know her. And I saw that she's on this meeting. Shyla, would you like to say hello?
Shyla.
Hello, I apologize. I was late getting on the meeting because I didn't have Zoom on my computer or my phone, so I apologize. And yeah, I'm Shyla, and I'm currently the park manager over Tarkington Park because I'm trying to fill that vacant spot. So I'm actually the North Regional Manager for Indy Parks and Recreation, and Tarkington falls under my umbrella of parks. So it's nice to meet all of you guys. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Shyla.
Yeah, you bet. Happy to be here.
Glad you're here. So we've also identified some of the advisory council member responsibilities, and a lot of this is very just common knowledge right here. We do follow strictly guidelines on code of ethics statements and doing background checks. We ask that members absolve from voting on particular advisory council action if there's a conflict of interest, especially when you have so many great organizations and nonprofits. You know, if you were going for the same grant funding as the Friends group, things like that. And we can help you with anything when you need it. And that's what we're here for. So basically, creating this group is going to have a really strong advocacy for Tarkington Park, and we need that. We have 214 Indy Parks locations, and we're all vying for the same resources and everything else. So it's really exciting to us when a group comes forward with a passion to help one of the parks. So again, there's a lot right here, but we can share that with you. Cheryl, you want to hop into mission statement and bylaws?
All right, well, the mission statement should reflect whatever your core beliefs are going to be for your particular organization and what you want to do with your particular park. So, and so sometimes it takes a few meetings for your group to come up with that. You will be able to draft this information, work closely with Shyla on it, and then just kick it back to the advisory council, because a lot of times we will go back and forth with the vision and the mission statement before we even get to the agreement piece. So.
And we're also able to give you samples too, because we have helped so many groups.
Yes, we do.
So if you want to see what another group's mission statement is, or if you'd like to see their bylaws, we believe in sharing that information to help you guys get formed. And we'll even have a template to provide to you, a toolkit where you can have a general template of the agreement or of bylaws and just copy and paste, you know, what you'd like. Or if you'd like to start fresh, you're able to do that too. So I'm gonna. Oh, here's a great example. Here we go.
It's a good one.
That is, and Broad Ripple has lots of great things happening out there. If you haven't been to their new family center, it's impressive. Very nice. So again, if you need help with bylaws, we'll give you a template. We'll help you with all of that. Because you have such a vast group of stakeholders and nonprofits, you may have someone that already specializes in that. So you're welcome to start fresh on your own. It's really important that you check in with park staff. So again, Shyla's your regional manager, and she's working on hiring a new park manager that will oversee Tarkington. So the park manager will attend your monthly meetings. So they will serve as a liaison between the Indy Parks Department and your group, and be there to help you with anything. We'll also work on providing a location for your monthly meetings. So we could unlock, you know, the building for you. If you don't want to meet at Tarkington, you can meet at one of Shyla's other North Regional parks. So we can work with you on that. If the weather is nice, of course, always meet at Tarkington. It's a great place. So the background checks, Indy Parks will pay for this, for the background checks. So we have our own contractor that we work through, and it's usually pretty quick on that. And if you have any concerns about background checks, sometimes people aren't quite sure about submitting one, just ask us, or our team leader, Kim Campbell, can give you all the information that you'd like on that. So don't let that be a barrier to preventing you for joining. So the process takes a little while because, you know, we are the Parks Department and city government, and so your paperwork will be in a few people's hands. So our committee will read your first draft, and then we will give you suggestions and edits, and then it'll go back to you. And so at first we will review and approve your bylaws. And then once we figure that out, then we'll figure out if you're going on an agreement or an MOU. If we do the MOU, that goes into the hands of our attorney a couple times as well. It takes a lot longer, but also that process lasts longer because the regular agreement is just for 2 years, and the MOU could be 3 to 5 years with option of renewal. So very good. Sorry. More on the agreement. So once again, here are the agreements. So if you are the advisory committee, you're on an agreement. If you are advisory council, you can be on an agreement or MOU. And then friends group, you're definitely on an MOU. And again, there is a lot of gray area on here because you may join as an advisory committee and then a huge grant opportunity comes your way and very quickly you become a friends group. So we'll work with you on that. We want you to grow. That's exciting. Any questions about this stuff? Okay. So, and then once you have a signed agreement, then you can start fundraising and do all the wonderful things for your park. One thing to lay out on here. So the park manager cannot be a voting member of your committee because of conflict of interest. So we have a couple lines like that. So Cheryl, do you want to go over any other resources that we've provided?
Well, I am looking at, okay, so Indy Parks Foundation, you know, is now the Alliance, so we need to change that out, but.
Oh, yeah. Sure do. So we need to update some of our materials
Right.
on SEO. But there's a lot of resources available. Lori and her team do great seeking grants, and so it's awesome that you have them so closely connected. So
and also we have we do host advisory council meetings every quarter, so that you would have the opportunity to meet the other friends groups or advisory councils and pick their brains about what they're doing and how they're processing stuff. And we generally like to have a topic of discussion. We had fundraisers. We did one event was for fundraisers. One meeting was for diversity inclusion and how to get everybody in your area involved. So you would have the opportunity to participate in those.
yes.
What else?
Yeah. Great.
I think that's the bulk of it, isn't it?
I think so, unless you guys have any questions for us.
I mean, I know it's a lot to digest. And then we should be able to get that advisory council kit out to you so we have time to sit down and go through that. And I'm sure you'll have questions after that.
Well, and the good news is that for the community members between Midtown Indy and the Parks Alliance, we're all here to help pull this group together. And I think the point of this meeting is to identify interest in being part of this and helping to spread the word about it. And you've got a whole universe of people here to support making this magic happen in Tarkington Park.
Great. So, and Michael has our contact info as well. So Cheryl and I are able to sign off so you guys can continue your meeting. And thank you again for your interest and involving us. And we're here to help you throughout the whole thing. So call out meetings, documents, everything going forward.
Thank you so much, Brittany and Cheryl.
All right. Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you.
We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.
Michael, they did go over the different tiers of friends groups. It sounds like the most appropriate option is the advisory committee currently, because there are no starting funds necessary, and then we can scale up as needed as we identify these additional funding opportunities and corporate sponsorships and everything like that.
Sounds great. I think that tracks kind of with our original thinking about the process.
Unless anyone else has thoughts on it that they want to share. All right.
And I know I missed the first 30 minutes, so I presume that was mostly about the Friends conversation, and we still need to talk a little bit about upcoming programming for this year.
Correct. as well as the multi-purpose field update, if you want to go into that briefly.
Lori, do you or David want to talk about the status of that? Of the multi-purpose field?
David, I know you were in the last meeting, so I don't know if you want to give that update, or I'm happy to.
Yeah, I can certainly give the update that Phyllis and Shyla shared at the meeting. So it seems like basically by the end of this year is when they're wanting to have the plans finalized. I mean, it's like a broad general timeline, and that by the end of 2024, the fields would be complete. I mean, that's a very two big sweeping strokes, but that was kind of the general timeline we were given.
Well, and I think in addition to that, the community has endorsed naming the field after Richard Donnell Hamilton, and the letter went into the Indy Steelers, I think last Friday. And I think this week or today, other community support letters, if anyone would like to support the naming of the field, we can send you details on where to send the letter. We've already provided our letter of support. I think Shyla received it, and it's been submitted to the Parks Board. It's March the 21st, I think the Parks Board will hear that request to name the field after Mr. Hamilton. And we will certainly share that information so that if community members want to join and support that at the Parks Board later in March, we would welcome the community to be part of that. Well, Danita or Krista, do you guys want to talk about the programming? Thanks, Kelly.
I would love to. I have a quick slide kind of with an overview of where Midtown is. There's a lot of programming going on outside of Midtown Indy. Tamika Catchings and Taja have been fantastic on activating the park with the Catch the Stars Foundation. The MLK Center is obviously active in the park as well. So we've had our park partner kind of group that meets and discusses programming. But on the Midtown side, these are kind of the main 3 events or series that we have planned throughout 2023. So looking at June, we have our 3rd annual Juneteenth Freedom Celebration, which would be the Saturday just before Juneteenth, as we, want a good attendance and volunteer wise. I think we're pretty much limited to the weekends. We are working on identifying grant opportunities for it currently. I've explored an Indiana Arts Commission grant. It looks like the programs have to start at the end of June for a 2023 grant, but it's an option for 2024. In the past, we have worked with Arts for Learning, so we can explore that again or other funding opportunities. But because it is a large event, I'll have to work with you all to identify kind of community tabling partners, the artists, the vendors, the food trucks, volunteers needed for the day, as well as funding. Tarkington Park Fest is one of the things that people talked about most when they said their favorite memory of Tarkington Park. So I'm very glad to say that we're tentatively planning to bring that back. That we have the date tentatively set for August 19th, which is a Saturday. And Midtown has went ahead and submitted a sponsorship proposal to the Old National Bank Foundation. We are currently waiting to hear back on whether that is funded or not. The request was for $15,000, since that was about what it took to put on the first Park Fest. But it's a massive undertaking. The event really belongs to the community, and we want to make sure it stays that way. So identifying community tabling partners, vendors, food trucks, all of the different programming options, as well as volunteers for that event. We've got to get the ball rolling very quickly on Juneteenth, as well as Tarkington Park Fest. The movie night series, I will say, is what we currently have the most kind of planned out so far. We worked with the Butler Tarkington Neighborhood Association to secure a grant from the Indianapolis Neighborhood Resource Center of roughly $9,400. So that will cover 3 movie nights, the screen rental, the licensing fees, some additional entertainment likely from Rock Gaming. But that will be a Friday night series occurring September 8th, 22nd, and October 6th. So we can check the box on funding on that one, but we're still looking to start identifying community tabling partners, food trucks, and movie options. One of the stipulations of that grant is that everything pretty much has to be set with insurance and the park special event application by the end of March. So we're moving on that pretty quickly as well. But there's some more time, more wiggle room for like vendors and community partners.
Well, and Chris, I don't think we have to have the actual movies selected for this, just the schedule of the nights, because we'll probably on an ongoing basis poll the community to help refine what the movie choices are going to be for movie nights, as we've done in the past. That seems to be a fun and festive and healthy competition of votes in the community to select the movies that we're going to watch.
Absolutely.
Any questions or anybody would like to be involved? I think we lost quite a few people when the Friends conversation ended, but just for the purposes of the fact we're recording this and sharing it after, if folks are interested in being part of the planning of any of these events or volunteering at the events, or have sponsorship thoughts about any of the events, you can hit us up at info@midtownindy.org.
Oh, can I just say now, this is Sabay, and I want to do all the things that I always do for Tarkington Park Fest and the movie night, because I'm driving. And could you write that down, Michael?
We can write it down, Sabay.
Thank you.
Well, and Lori, David, anything, obviously we'll have to put for this INRC grant, we have to kind of pre-bake all the events. And so we'll need to submit all of them for whatever parks approval happen at the same time, I think before the end of March, correct, Krista? So part of, they won't disperse or formalize the grant agreement until we've given them approvals. So we'll kind of need to run all of these in advance, well in advance through the Parks Board for whatever approvals they need. I don't think we typically have any challenge with the movie nights. They're generally small enough that there's not a big planning effort that goes on, but that'll be different this year than rather than doing it the 30 days before the event. All 3 of those movies we have to kind of bake up before the end of March.
Yeah, and Krista, you and I need to get together with Shyla and Cassandra just to make sure we have all the permitting stuff. And I was just waiting to hear back from the park side, but we'll get together soon, especially for Tarkington Park Fest and Juneteenth. But yeah, we can meet offline, and especially anytime you want to meet about any of these outside of the partnership meetings, just let me know and we can get those on the calendar.
All right, that would be great. If you've got availability next week, I'm pretty booked for the remainder of this week, but next week is pretty open for me.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great. I'll check my calendar and I'll meet you at some point next week.
Awesome. Thanks, David.
Thanks.
Well, this has been great. Hopeful to see some more folks step forward for the Friends conversations. And these don't necessarily have to be separate. Getting involved in one thing is connecting kind of everything together. So certainly if there's any other questions, we'd be happy to answer them now. If not, we can let people get back to their day.
Thanks for letting me listen in.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see everybody.